So the problem that we had was we had a whole bunch of email addresses in our system that were bad emails. They didn't go anywhere. You couldn't contact the people that way. And they just kept piling up, and more emails were getting put in incorrectly. And so, for example, Matt talks too fast at gmail.com. When staff is putting in that email, they could easily type in 4 T's instead of 5. So it makes it really difficult to contact Matt and let him know about something important if you don't have the right email. Well, we used VB script, which is just put into the Aptify entity. So in the company and person's entity, anytime that you make a change to a person's email or a company email, it will automatically run this script, which sends that email off to a verification service, verifies the email, and then responds back. The service that we use is free. You get 100 per day, and we've had pretty good success with it. Right now, I had tested 100 bad emails, and only 5 of them actually made it through the verification. And then in testing 300 good email addresses, only 1 of them came back as failed. So it's a pretty good verification process that we have in place now. In a single month, we verified over 600 emails, and a little over 100 of them came back as undeliverable. So at that point, whoever's talking with the association member can say, this came back as a bad email. Are you sure we have it put into the system correctly? Either someone on our end typed it incorrectly, or the person maybe spoke too fast, or just gave us the wrong email by accident. So now, moving forward, we're going to have much better data in our system and be able to communicate with our association members much more. So here is a company record. We have the primary contact, Johnny Test. If I open that person record up, you can see here he has an email, adamstemper12356@yahoo.com. Let's say that I spoke with Johnny and he wanted to change his email. So I'm going to put in some fake mail at gmail.com. And when I hit save, the script verifies that email through this service.
Nice.
And then tells you that the email provided is undeliverable, and it gives you the email that you had put in, and you can hit OK. The email is still saved, the person entity is still saved, but given that prompt, you can now go back and fix the email that you might have mistyped.
TRB has an annual meeting. We do that in January every year. We get about over 10,000 attendees. And as part of the program development, we also review technical papers. And so what we needed was a replacement for our legacy system that managed the technical review of the papers that we get each year, and the building of the content for all of the technical sessions. So what we did was we had brought in Aptify, I guess it was about 1.5 years earlier. We were using it for some of our membership and committee management functions, and we saw that we had the opportunity to use it for our paper review and session development for our annual meeting. And so there's a web component that we call MyTRB that allows our volunteers to administrate the review of the technical papers, and also to enter the details for the sessions that we have. We have lecture sessions and poster sessions and committee meetings, and through the web, those volunteers enter those details. And so using the Aptify client, we have staff who are administrating all of those paper reviews and event details. I guess. In part, it's because the legacy system that we've been using was approaching end of life. And so we had the opportunity in replacing that system to combine where we had multiple databases. So we could disambiguate person profiles by pulling all of these things together into the one system.
As part of the development process, we did we leveraged highly leveraged Aptify's development platform. We developed multiple custom entities for the paper review process, whether it be an entity for the paper, or an entity for the reviewer pool, or an entity for the reviewers, or the recommendation process, or the events that are scheduled. They were all custom built using Aptify's development platform. And then that was, like Michael said, that was all displayed in the form of dashboards for the staff. And then on the volunteer side, it's a brand new custom web application that handles everything, accommodates everything from paper submission or similarly reviewer pool management or paper review management for the review coordinators, event management for the event planners. So there's a multitude of pages that's been developed to accommodate that.
So we've got these various buttons that have been created to get to these different pieces of functionality. It's a way for us to organize it as staff. And so you can see the first one there with calls for papers. You can see that this is a list of the calls for papers, and there's information about them that helps us to manage what is displayed on the web and what is not. And you can see these are the codes that we used. We have a couple of hundred committees, standing committees, and so we have these codes that's our organizational structure that's represented by those codes and then the names of them. And so just to show you what one of those records would look like if we opened one up, you can see now this is information that could be entered by the staff through the client, or it could be entered on the web through MyTRB by our volunteers. And you can see they put in their title and the description, and then there's information that we collect about the organizers for the session that could potentially be based on this call for papers, depending on the reaction they get, the submittals that come in response to it. And you can see how it's linked to our sponsoring committees and our various subject areas. So this is what it looks like in the client. And then if I jump over to the web, I can show you what it would look like for a volunteer who's logged in, where they can see calls for papers, and they can see, for instance, if they had submitted one, I guess I don't have an example here, but you can see the calls for papers that are posted, the ones that have been approved, and you can see how the volunteers interact with that information online. And these are groups of people that are managed by staff that have a particular area of technical expertise, and as the papers come in, they're assigned to these various reviewer pools, and then folks get assigned to review those papers. And so you can see here, this is the list of reviewer pools. And so this will let you know what you'd have for one of them, for instance, what it looks like, how we manage it through the client for staff. There's some summary information about it and the list of reviewers for that pool. You can see it's pulling up we have a lot of information here. So. And then we assign what's called a review coordinator, and that's the volunteer who, through the web, they assign those reviews to their various reviewers. And if I jump over to the web, I can show you what that looked like, right? So what we call review management, and this is where a review coordinator would go in by using this. We have this consistent navigation, these buttons and tabs that we use consistently throughout the annual meeting functionality in MyTRB. And so this is where they would go in and they would add people to their list of potential reviewers. And we also display information about the other reviews that have been assigned to those reviewers. And depending on where we are in the cycle, it tells you if they have completed those reviews and if they have reviews for other committees and things like that.
When we wanted to create name badges for our annual meeting, typically we pre-printed all the badges out. Here, we would do a rough draft and print all of them out first. We had a couple people go through and actually look at every one of the badges and make sure that they are correct. Then we would print out a final draft, which was actually a thicker card stock like you'd use within a name badge holder. And those would take a long time to print. And then there'd be some issues with those maybe, so we'd be reprinting again. And then when we were finally done and said, oh, this is good, basically our staff members had approved them, then we mail these name badges out to the people. And sometimes those people would say, I didn't like that, so then we may end up having to remail those out again. So it ended up being a pretty long, drawn-out process, so we wanted to improve on that process to try to make it run faster and better. And we came up with some solutions, and as we came up with solutions, we're like, hey, there's some other things we can fix as well. We have a process that we do at every annual assembly is door drops. So we have to run around and drop all this information off, and maybe we can come up with a solution with that when we come up with this solution for the name badge printing, because we may be able to actually print information along with those name badges and have those go to the people. So that was a couple other challenges that came up, was adding some functionality here and there to fix a few other issues. The solution was, instead of mailing out name badges to everybody, we decided to email everybody an image, actually it's the exact image that we print to each person so that they can see what their name badge is going to look like. And then have them go to a web page. They can click yes, it's good, or no, it's not good. If they click yes, it's good, then it basically updates Aptify and says, hey, they verified it, they're good, we don't need to bug them anymore about their name badge. If they click no, then they'll go through a little process that says, well, what do you want it to be? Key in your name and your company and information, city, state, any information like that you want on your name badge. And then you can hit update, and then it will display the name badge again, and they can say, oh yeah, that's what I wanted. And we update Aptify as well, saying this person has approved their name badge, so that we don't have to ask them again. And the second piece to this was how do we eliminate door drops, and the same thing. And we're like, well, our process now is to print the badges when they come to the assembly. So when they check into assembly, we actually print the badges on demand and as they're there, so that at that point we can actually print some of this information that we were doing door drops for to the appropriate person, so that if it's a board member and they need to go to the board meeting, we'll print out a little card that says you need to be at the board meeting, here's the date and time, all the information you need, some bullet points on stuff that's going to go on that you need to know to go to the board meeting. And we had several other special meetings that only certain people went to. We also printed out a card for media. We had some media come there because Barack Obama was there. And in that card told the media what they can and can't do, and places, stuff they're supposed to do while they're there. Valuable would be the fact that our members, several of them responded back saying this is, it's high tech and everything, but they also liked that it was very efficient, it was fast, and it allowed them to have more information readily because they had these cards they carried with them. We just stuck them in a name badge holder. They were the same size as a name badge, so we could put them behind their name badge inside the holder, and they had these cards. One of them was what you should do when Barack Obama comes, and there was a list of about 8-10 things to do and don't do when he's here. And then there was the Wi-Fi connectivity. How do I connect to the Wi-Fi? We had a free mobile app. How do I get the free mobile app? And there was just these little cards they just could carry around with them, and they could say, oh yeah, that's what I'm supposed to do. So it was helpful in that way. Also, it didn't require anybody to actually print anything out because we could actually scan their mobile device. So we came up with a scanner that would scan through the glass on mobile devices. So all they do is display this email that we sent them, which said, prove your name badge. Well, if they brought that same email with them on their mobile device, we could just scan that barcode that was displayed as part of their name badge as well. And then I hit no, and I change it to Ashley with the Y, Ashley with the Y. I hit update. And hopefully I hit update. There we go. Now you can see Ashley Gray here. Do you see that one?
Yep.
Okay. And then you can say, oh, that is good. Okay. You hit yes. And you can print this page or download the image. Now, if you go to your email and look at your latest email, you'll see that if you go back to, now you can see Ashley, you see the email, right?
Yep.
Okay. There's the email. So this image is actually a dynamic image that changes. It's actually an image that changes whenever you refresh the email because it's actually coming from our website. And it regenerates that image each time you go to the website. So it actually streams. It's a stream image. It's streamed to the thing. But let's go to the other program, which is test assembly check-in. And I need to log in because only staff and people logged in can go to this page. I'll go ahead and check Ashley in. Ashley's come up to the screen. I can actually scan. I can do a lookup here and look for her. Or I could say anybody that has the letters Ash in their name. Is there more than one? Yeah, so we got several people here. So you can do a lookup here. You are the only Ashley that came to our assembly this year. So I can look that up, and then I can see that your check-in here is January 1st night, and it means you've never been checked in. So I click the check-in, which automatically checks you in. There's a flag in Aptify in our meeting that for your meeting order me detail record that says you've been checked in. And it comes up and then shows you, here's a print preview of all the tags. So basically under our meeting, we've got, these are my tickets I have set up. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, is it all listed? There's 15 tickets here that we have 15 name badge / ticket / informative tag. So we have 15 different ones here. And basically you can edit any of these, and there's different ways you can assign those to who's going to get what. There's a list here, use list. So you can create an Aptify list of people, and those will be the people that gets it whenever they check in. You can do everyone, so everyone coming to the assembly will get it based on every meeting that is actually in this list here. And then active, you can turn them on and off, which we did because we had certain things like we were giving out the Basilica in Washington, D.C. We were doing liturgy. Once the liturgy was over, we didn't want people to keep getting that card, so we came in at Aptify, turned it off, not active anymore, and then went on, and people just didn't get it anymore. And then same thing with President Obama's speech. Once he had a speech, there was no reason to print off the information what you're going to do because nobody could go to it. So we were able to turn stuff on and off pretty easily.
That PDA face is that we offer member and non-member pricing for our products, and we noticed that when people made purchases online, it wasn't really obvious to them that adding membership would end up in cost savings. So that was one issue. And the second issue was that we didn't really have an efficient way of targeting people who made purchases that were non-members that we considered warm leads. So those were the two issues that we were looking at for this project.
Website, they were already doing a variety of things to upsell membership, showing the difference between non-member pricing and member pricing during the product detail page through the checkout process, but it didn't seem that everybody was acting on that And so one of the motivations that we had was to make it a little bit more in your face, to make it so that the person had to acknowledge the fact that they were avoiding a discount or be able to sign up for it at that point. Ultimately, we wanted to get to the person during their shopping experience. And so as they were deciding already to purchase a product during a meeting registration or a booked sale, we wanted to put the discount right in front of their face. And so as they decide to add something to their cart, we pop up a message, which is all just done through the Aptify e-business suite. And we prompt the user, did you know that you could have saved X amount of dollars on this order if you had joined membership right now? And it's a call to action. They have to choose yes or no, whether or not they want to accept the discount or not. Behind the scenes, we're tracking whether or not they say yes and whether or not they say no, and which products they're saying yes and no to, so that we can look at this data analytically afterwards. Behind the scenes, the discounting and the member pricing, all of that is just regular Aptify e-business and Aptify suite functionality. We're just presenting something to them in front. We're also tracking the fact that they said yes to that specific order, so that Hasana's team can look at it and know how many memberships they got because of this very specific promotion, so they can see the ROI compared to the investment they made to how many memberships that they're getting. The second solution was the non-member email. So if somebody does say no and they decide to purchase something without accepting the discount, we still wanted to give them one last chance to get something for joining. And so we have a process flow that runs via scheduled task nightly that calculates how much discounts the person would have saved on all of the purchases that they made yesterday, and sends them an email said you could have saved X amount of dollars. If you join membership right now, we'll give you a discount on your membership to kind of compensate for the fact that they didn't get it during the purchase.
So I guess I can answer that because I'm seeing those reports every day. And so far, since we implemented this, we've sold 100 memberships through upselling that online. And to date, that's $25,000 in sales. And that's really great because those could have been people that might not have joined, and now they're joining because it's in their face and they're joining online. And the cost of the project was around $4,000. So you can see already there was a positive ROI. Another value is that it automated our processes. So those people who, for whatever reason, didn't go online to join or decided not to join, they got an email upselling them membership at a discount. And that was another way of targeting our customers. And in addition to that, I think the biggest value of this is that we're able to track everything through Aptify and see where are we getting the most sales. And we can see that most of them are coming from the pop-up. So it's been really successful to date.
I guess one side effect to what we're doing here is, in addition to being able to offer this discount and offer the email to non-members, everything that we built was built such that it fit in with all of the current processes, and where it could, it just added value. For example, that email, behind the scenes, we have to calculate how much discounts a person would have saved because of not choosing to join membership. And so now, even outside of this project, we have a report to show how much member discounts are going out the window because people are choosing not to be members. And so we're getting some secondary data that we can look at in more detail to follow up with additional campaigns and additional processes to hopefully solicit more membership. So we're gonna jump forward a few steps. So the person has already made it to the website and they've decided to purchase this particular product. It's an exciting read. But as they choose to add something to their cart, I'm logged in as a person who is not a member. You'll see this pop-up appear that in a very casual manner reminds them that this book is being sold at a higher price because they're currently a non-member. And the call to action is very obvious. They have to acknowledge it without skipping over it. And as Hasana has said, 100 people so far since we've launched this has decided to say yes. Now the coding behind this is very simple. All it does is add the individual membership to the product where they can see the fact that they've saved these $98. and they can check out as normal. The rest of the process is very similar.
So this is an example of an email that would get sent to somebody who purchased something as a non-member. It's offering them a discounted membership, and as you can see in this particular case, it's showing them they could have saved $175 on their last purchase. And basically the way this is set up is that it's calculating the differential in member and non-member pricing. Now, to give them an incentive to join, we give them a deadline and a discount. It calculates based on this differential with a maximum savings of $59. We have a unique link on the email, so it does conversion tracking. So as they join, we can detect that in Aptify. And then we also give them a deadline. As you can see here, it's 6/27. The other thing I would like to point out is that they can't share this email to anybody else. So for example, if I got this email and it was for me, and I try to share with a colleague, it's behind the login, so they wouldn't be able to get this discount.
All right, so this is that report that Hasana looks at very religiously. You'll see at the bottom, it has all 100 people that have responded to the campaign, and we can see specifically on which dates. And I hope the resolution is low, that I'm not giving people's addresses and things. I'll get PCI calling me tomorrow. But we have order dates and the method by which they chose to purchase their membership. And it goes through, and it's a base view that we built off of orders that Hasana can run and build other reports from.
Challenge is that we wanted a way to centralize our recruiting efforts. We had a number of recruiting efforts going out for prospective members from various people, and we were getting our prospects from different lists, so we had a lot of spreadsheets and disorganized data. We wanted to centralize that information. We wanted to also be able to provide standard languages to the audiences we identified, because otherwise we were landing up with separate lists and duplicate person records and duplicate efforts, people trying to reach out at different intervals with recruiting pieces. So with that said, we decided to first create standard recruiting pieces that we deemed for certain audiences, and then finding a module in the database we actually created one where we could store those people so that we could track what we were sending to them and when we were sending it to them, so that we could get some metrics and see which audiences we were getting the best return on investment and penetration with. So with those pieces, in addition to that, we wanted to be able to determine the intervals that we were actually reaching out, because we didn't know exactly how often we were hitting these prospective members. So within the pieces that we defined in the databases, we created intervals in which the next piece should be sent. So you'll see some of that in the demo.
So technology-wise, as we wanted the one cohesive listing and we wanted everything in one spot, so obviously Aptify, we ended up creating a module called the Person Membership Recruitment module, which is a single entity that links all these people we have gotten from all these external lists, and then it ties in all the different pieces that we send them. Pretty standard and basic, you'll see it in the demo. But essentially it goes through a recruitment piece in the module, essentially goes through 4 steps. The first step is it gets entered into the module. Second step is views are created based on the last item they were sent or which segment they're in, and then new pieces are added on to the records every time we send one, so it keeps track. And then the third scenario is once they receive the materials, do they actually join with us using the code, or if they just join outside the code. If they call us and say, I don't want any more marketing, so they can opt out of it, or they've just hit the end of the segment for that marketing piece. So we've got some validation in the background that checks if they just come and join with us online without using their code. We've got a nightly process that will go find any of these people who have joined, find their recruitment record, and update them that they've joined, but without the code. If you join, but you use the code at the same time, as soon as your online application is done, it then updates the recruitment module saying you've joined with the code. And then if they call in saying opt out, we've got the status for opt out. And then the people who don't do anything, they just go into the queue, and then it's decided, do we send them in a new segment? Do we just forget about them and hope on the next batch or not? So it's pretty simple, and we'll show it in the demo.
Once we load the number of duplicate efforts that we had, so duplicate records that were being created in the database, duplicate efforts to reach out and recruit these folk. And we've improved the metrics because now we can see at what stage in the process that we are getting conversion. We can also see what language seems to be resonating and with what audiences we're having the best penetration. The other thing is it's a lot less manual labor. It's all in Aptify. We actually have these pre-printed pieces that we have, and through the module, we pretty much, for most of the pieces, we just create a label, you stick it on, you send it, the person's record gets updated that they received the piece, then they run a process, that person gets processed, and the wait period on the piece extends their next piece to receive date, so that it's like a revolving cycle. Once you get into the person recruitment database, you get pieces as you're scheduled to get them, and it's sort of dynamic as opposed to we just send everybody a piece on the 3rd, and whatever we send, that's what we send. So we're getting a lot of return on investment in that. We're getting the metrics where we're seeing where we're getting the best penetration, and we're decreasing the amount of labor that it goes into to getting this stuff out to prospective members.
Here we go. So from our person record, we've added a nice little button that will go green if they currently have a recruitment record, or black if they don't. When you click on it, if they don't have one, it'll set it up as a new record. If they currently have one, it'll open up the existing record. So then
select the source,
give it a save. So once the recruitment record has been created, you can see it just turns green. Now our staff have much more streamlined views for the actual segments in that. I don't have them on our dev system at the moment. So from their views, they will select or highlight whoever they will be sending the next piece to. And then we have a nice little wizard for them to use that they choose, what piece are we sending? I'm going to get the brochure. Tells how many days after this brochure is sent do they wait until they get the next piece. So what date the piece will send. Usually this is done the same day the piece is being sent, but they can modify it here. And then if for whatever reason, if we were doing some sort of special brochure or something like that, they can override the next date. Instead of it being, say, the 90 days, they could do it 30 days if it was a special piece. And then a little confirmation just to make sure they don't process when they don't mean to. So in the end, then it just brings up which pieces it generated. So this is a recruitment piece. So it's tied to my record. It's this piece. It was sent. Here's the code that will get printed on the labels. So for example, this is our brochure. So our brochure looks a little like this. And then the labels that get printed it would have my address up here with the code on it. So from there, you would go, it's got the link also on the label that redirects you to this page where they can either apply for full membership or they can just subscribe to Pulse. They enter in their code. Oh, it probably helps if I'm on the right database. And their code, their last name, just for some privacy. And then, of course, the trial. And then the background, it's going to check that that code or that piece is valid. And then it's going to bring them to either the Pulse subscription or the membership application. And then once they fully process through that, this person membership recruitment record, its status will get updated to joined without code, depending on the status.